Well, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the Football Sleep. I'm Robinson Okenya. And before we take off, I want us to take a look at what you'll be reading tomorrow in Kenya's bold newspaper, the Saturday Standard. State House greed, money appetite. State House has burnt through 10.4 billion shillings in just 7 months out of a budgeted 7.7 billion. This is nearly a third more than its full year budget with months to go, even as the Treasury warns of a deepening revenue hole and escalating debt pressure. As Kenya Revenue Authority tightens the tax nose on small traders and professionals, executive spending is racing ahead of allocation, fueling fresh questions on fiscal discipline and political priorities. That story is on page 8 and 9 of the Saturday Standard. So make sure you grab yourself a copy of the Saturday Standard and get to read about State House greed. Yes, it's all about money appetite. Grab yourself a copy and get to read about State House greed. Yes, let's now switch gears. We get into some football talk, and in studio with me he's Davis Mberia, Roger Seshtemi, Cedric Musumba. There is a seat that is reserved. Yes, he will be joining us in a few. And Hassan Juma. Hassan, start us off.
First, baada ya BB Bread kukula FC Leopards, now they'll be facing Gor Mahia, the FKF Cup, round 32. So that will be a very interesting match. And of course, mafans wa Arsenal walikuwa nasema ni 9 points clear, 9 points clear, 9. Sasa ni 5 points clear, and Man City who are part second have a game in hand. So that'll be a very interesting match this weekend. There'll be a very interesting round of matches in the EPL this weekend. So tonight we're asking you, Tottenham will be hosting Arsenal. This is a North London derby this weekend. So give us your prediction. Tottenham will be hosting Arsenal. Remember, Tottenham Hotspurs have a new interim manager. And of course, Arsenal, after dropping points against Wolves, they are wounded. So give us your prediction in this North London derby this weekend. Sedo? Oh, of course, you can SMS us on 22151. SMS number is 22151. It's toll free, so to SMS. And of course, tutaongea na wewe, tutasoma ujumbe wako, na phone lines pia ziko wazi. So let's look at this weekend's slip. So this weekend, Shabana versus Tusker, Morangasil versus Bandari, Police versus APS Bomet, and of course Gor Mahia will be taking on Bankers KCB. In the English Premier League, Manchester City will be at home against Newcastle United, Tottenham Hotspurs, North London derby against Arsenal, Everton taking on Manchester United. In Syria, Atalanta against Napoli, and the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich will be taking on Frankfurt, and RB Leipzig will be at home against Borussia Dortmund. These are the 10 matches we've selected for you back at home. Robbie?
Yes, Sedo, how was your week?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Eshtemi?
Comme ci, comme ça.
Like this, like that. Davis Mberia, imekuaje?
Wiki imekuwa nzuri. Mambo yamekuwa shwari.
Mambo yamekuwa shwari. Haya, wacha tumkaribishe mheshimiwa. Anasema anataka power.
Mtu wa power amefika.
Alikuwa kutafuta power.
Anatafuta power.
Power.
Kaka, wiki imekuaje?
Wiki imekuwa sawa. Tunafuatilia tu maneno hiyo ya power.
Namna hii.
Nani ambaye, you know?
Just like Kaishtoni said, comme ci, comme ça. So let's begin by recapping. Before we recap the week, remember there's a question we were asking you about the North London derby taking place on Sunday. Tottenham Hotspurs under a new coach at home. They will be hosting their rivals, that is Arsenal. Who do you think will win? Give us your prediction. And remember, you can text at 22151, and that number to text is free. And also remember, tell us your name and where you're from and give us your prediction. Aside from that, you can call in and be part of the show. The number to call is at the bottom end of your screen. That is the bottom end of your screen. That is the number to call. And please tell us, what you expect from Sunday's match. So as I give Kariuki this iPad, nasikia last week mulilemewa, kumbe sikujua technology imewachanga hivi. It's a challenge.
See technology.
Oh, nikitoka hiyo 4:30.
Password.
4:30.
Ulicheck password bwana, alafu
Wapi
unasema
password?
To look for the password, you could not get it.
so una guess na password.
So let's recap the week. Let's recap the week, and we begin with the former Tusker FC coach, that is Charles Okere. He came out this week saying that there is a lot of match fixing in Kenyan football. Cedric Musumba, what do you make of his remarks that there is a lot of match fixing in Kenyan football?
It's quite unfortunate that he's coming to discover about it once he has been actually relinquished from his role as the coach of Tusker. But this is something that we have over and over again have had eludation over it here in this particular show. We have been asking ourselves question which kind of goals this current goalkeeping department are really necessarily conceding. Sometimes you ask yourself if a team just have their center back, giving them the rightful cover. And again, when you look at the essence of them, how they are releasing in those kind of goals, is quite questionable. So as to say, we have had so many questions that has not been answered, but luckily enough, at this point in time, coaches are now coming out. Not necessarily him alone. We have also had Abdallah Juma talking about it. And so many coaches that are now coming out and telling us the story that are really happening in our Kenyan soccer. And more so to some extent, when listening to these coaches, not necessarily even Okera alone, I was so perturbed that some essence, federation also being mentioned at a certain point, that this thing does not only vested into our footballing team at the pitch, but it has got somehow extension that has trickled into the federation. And those are the questions and the elephants that we need to be tackling into our league. And I will give you a clear example that has still tormenting me. When FC Leopard was somehow reigning and showing the signs of running away with this thing, there were a team that was following it. They literally dropped point to the so-called Muranga Seals in a precarious way. And I was asking, similarly, just last week when they played at Bomet, Mulili, who has undergone traded with FC Leopard, actually soaked in some kind of questionable goals. And we are like, is it that we don't have goalkeepers, or these goalkeepers are making their pocket full out of our pains?
Are the errors that open?
No, there are things that maybe just Cedric has just put them very clearly. They remain questionable because if you have been following the Kenya football for the last 1.5 decade or so, you'll definitely ask yourself some difficult questions in regards to how the current crop of goalkeepers in the FKF Premier League are conceding, because they make, yes, there are some moments of brilliance from the strikers and the midfielders, but they make them look like a prime Messi or a prime Ronaldo at the goals they concede, making them look like maybe we have the best players in the world. But when it comes to the national team, it's always the other way around. So we don't have to maybe tackle it maybe just Kienyeji way. We need to go to the big elephant in the room and try to ask ourselves, how did you find ourselves in this position? Because it's not something that maybe it just came out of the blues and it started happening in the league. The root cause could be due to maybe not that football education we always keep talking about, and also the apparatus to ensure that match fixing is actually eliminated completely in this country. Maybe there are signs that indeed in the next few months or years, we can be one step ahead on how to tackle this particular menace, because the yet to be implemented sports bill and a sports act maybe trying to highlight such things that maybe match fixing is one of the areas that's going to be dealt with completely, because it's going to be criminalized. Whoever will be found in this menace definitely will have to be faced the full force of the law. But now for the players themselves, they're killing their careers. It's a short-term thing. You get those money through fixing the games. You try to mess the career of your teammates, but what is the end result?
Davis Mberia. Nicholas Msonya came out this week saying that, East Africa is on course to delivering also a very good Africa Cup of Nations 2027, and they're emphasizing on security as well as ensuring that, we have proper pitches to host the tournament. What are your thoughts? Maoni yako ni yapi?
Msonya amekuwa mstari wa mbele kuhakikisha kwamba vitu viko sawa, na ukiangalia kama maandalizi yalivyokuwa kabla ya dimba la CHAN, Kenya ilikuwa baadhi ya mataifa ambayo yalionekana kuwa hasa na pale mkakati mzuri zaidi ukilinganisha na mataifa jirani, lakini swala pia la usalama lilijitokeza katika mechi za kwanza kabisa. Unakumbuka wakati mmoja mashabiki wakilazimika kuvunja ua la uga wa Kasarani kuingia ndani, swala ambalo pia shirikisho la CAF liliishia kuipiga Kenya hasa ile faini kubwa zaidi. Kwa hivyo nahisi kwamba swala ambalo anasisitiza zaidi ni swala la usalama, swala ambalo hasa si mashabiki ambao walikuja hapa wachache wa CHAN. Hili ni dimba ambalo sasa hivi litakuwa linavutia hasa mashabiki wengi zaidi, si kutoka tu Afrika pekee bali kutoka kote duniani. Watakuwa wanakuja kuona mataifa yepi, wachezaji wepi hasa ambao wanacheza katika ligi zetu na wepi ambao tunaweza wajumuisha katika vilabu vyetu. Lakini pia alizungumza hilo kwamba Kenya itatumia pia jukwaa hili kujiuza kwenye ramani ya utalii, kwamba tunatumia michezo kujiuza kiutalii. Kwa hivyo iwapo hakutakuwa na usalama na iwapo hakutakuwa na nyuga nzuri ambazo zipo salama kwa wale watazamaji na wale wa mashabiki na wale wachezaji, mbona yule mtalii ambaye anakuja katika sekta zingine ajihakikishie usalama wake?
So, before we move on, remember we're asking you a very simple question tonight. That is, Tottenham Hotspur is hosting Arsenal in the North London derby this weekend. Give us your predictions on what you're expecting from that match. You can SMS at 22151. That number is totally free. Tell us your name, tell us where you're from, and what your prediction is. Kariuki, umefungua?
Nyingi sana zimeshaingia.
Nyingi sana. Haya, nakupea dakika moja uzipitie.
Nipitie mbio mbio.
Pitia.
Mark kutoka Umoja ameandika tu hivyo. Sijajua.
Inaweza kuwa ni ya nyumba.
Tottenham on top. I'm Citizen fan. It's Kinja from Olkalau. Sami from Luanda, a draw.
Yes.
Hello, this is Prince, #1 fan, our biggest team in the world, Manchester City. Hiki kombe situpewe tu, tukimaliza game yetu juu ni kama tushaichukua. Weekend hii Manchester City and Spurs lazima washinde. I'm Brian Orlando from Nyalenda, Dunga Beach, Kisumu. Tottenham and Arsenal is a draw. Alafu FC Leopards inacheza lini? Tutatueleza Hassan inacheza nini.
FC wanacheza na Bandari kesho. Sio Bandari, sorry, Muranga.
Posta Rangers.
Yes. Muranga,
unajua Bandari, no, it's in my mind that wanacheza na Bandari, walipelekwa na ndege, lakini ni kama wakasahau mpira hapo katikati.
Wakatoka draw.
Ya kutofungana.
Baada ya timu ile ya Bibi. Arsenal 3, Spurs 1. Lewis from Gashi. Arsenal italipiza kisasi dhidi ya Tottenham. Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1. Alafu kuna Spurs kichwa. Yes. Ni Dixon kutoka LD.
Yes.
Tottenham Hotspur will win against Arsenal. Tottenham is a better place to win this derby. Huyo ni Jemo LD Shauri Estate.
Yes, Jemo ameongea. So, now let's move on to, as we continue recapping the week. Remember, Arsenal were in action this weekend. Week on Wednesday. Yes, they were not playing the Champions League, but the league. Ni kama mambo yameanza kuchemuka. Cedric, what is not happening to Arsenal? I mean, everybody expected them to get a massive win against Wolves. The top placed team against the bottom placed team.
It's all about pressure. I think across the board, all the pundits, they literally keep on referring football to a game of marathon. And anyone who has been following how marathon actually is won across the world is not necessarily being won by those pack that start the marathon by leading from front. They are somehow at some point actually start tiring down when their nerves actually try draining up. And there's a certain pack that come from nowhere that take it up. If you are not strong enough to contain all that pressure that is really culminating from your back, you end up losing that particular battle. And this is what actually has been bedelving Arsenal year in, year out, whereby the strength of sustaining that path at the top until to the tail end, we have seen him actually ceding to anyone that is really following them. And if they are not quite necessarily sure, it seems as if it might be a repeat of the same this year. But I will still say that also the strength that they need to be containing is not all about how the game of football is played in the pitch. Right now, it's not about the beautiful soccer. It's about how you manage to win your game. That's what Arteta should be knowing for the remaining few matches. It's not all about impressing the crowd at the end of the game. I remember at some point, Arsenal were winning through set pieces. And then at some points when they happened to lose, their fans started castigating them at, oh, it's all about set pieces and blah, 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 blah. Then they recur back to their playing style. Beautiful sex soccer, yes. But there's no one who will give you a trophy for playing sex soccer. Trophy will be given to you when you happen to win your goals. They are lucky enough, Raya has already, is in the prime space of winning his golden gloves as usual. Yes. But that is not enough for a team of Arsenal to end the league again with another golden glove. They need this time round as goldware, which is EPL at the end of the
Remember, we'll be coming back to them. Hassan.
Hey, hello, Joseph. Hello, Joseph.
Very fine.
Mambo vipi bana?
Poa sana.
North London Derby, Tottenham Hotspur versus Arsenal. Unaonaje itakuwaje?
Mimi ni fan wa Arsenal, lakini naona sisi tumeshuka bei. Naona kama tutashikwa draw. Hata hii ligi ni kama tu inatuondokea kama miaka zingine zote.
Hauna imani na kina Raya? Hauna imani na kina Raya?
Ai, kwanza Raya kuja na tucheza ile ujai hiyo. Njoka.
So ngapi?
Tuseme hiyo ni draw. Another draw ama kupigwa.
Na ligi mnashinda ama overall league mnashinda this season ama imeshaponyoka?
Mimi naona hata ishaenda.
Ishaenda?
Imeenda.
Imeenda.
Tumeshuka bei.
Asante sana Jose, asante sana.
But I think it's still early to say imeenda.
No, there are signs already. There are signs that, you know what?
But you see, I would agree with the Sedo to some extent. Yeah.
You see,
the marathon.
You see, once beaten, twice shy. Unajua tu,
una
signs zinajitokeza.
Alafu Rumi from 9 points.
Yes, Htemi.
Almost 2 points.
I know we'll be coming back to this conversation on Arsenal. I want us to continue with that conversation, or rather with a different conversation tonight. And it's all about racism in football. Vinicius Jr. experienced that, and UEFA is saying that, you know, they're going to investigate this man right here, Presklini rather, on what he said. And Benfica said that they will comply with UEFA and they try to, you know, give their report. But what did you make of this incident?
I think it was really absurd because, you know, even if the fans and Benfica players felt maybe provoked with the Vinicius Junior's celebration goal, I think that was beyond what you expect to be happening on the pitch, because at the end of the day, it is what is done on the pitch that people celebrate. But when you come with racism words or other slurs or even gestures, that demeans the game, the beautiful game that everybody loves to watch. So I think UEFA should maybe take a very stern action so that it can be a warning to, a lesson to Prestini and a warning to all those other individuals who plan maybe to do the same thing, because it's not the first time it is happening. It has been happening for the longest period possible. And it is sad that UEFA, FIFA and other federations across the world are not actually closing into winning this particular war. But Vinicius Jr. has always been subjected to this. Everywhere he goes, he's found himself on the receiving end. Now, it bothers me and even come up with the question that, is it that Vinicius Jr. himself also likes courting trouble or trouble like following him? You know, it's catch-22 situation, but you know, you call a spade a spade. I think UEFA need to take a stern action and Prestini need to...
Davis Beria, wewe unafikiria watajua kila alimwambia?
Nahisi kwamba
ukiangalia hapa alikuwa amejifunika.
Hakuna udhibitisho tosha na pia alikuwa anasema kuna uwezekano kwamba kuna kitu ambacho alikuwa anataka kusema kibaya kisha akafunika mdomo. Lakini pia niweze kutilia kidogo neno kuhusiana na jinsi kocha Jose Mourinho alivyozungumza. Nahisi kwamba kama kiongozi, kama mwalimu hasa ambaye kila mchezaji anamwangalia na kila shabiki anamaminia, nahisi kwamba alivyozungumza haikufaa zungumze hivyo, na vitendo vyake wakati anatoa ishara za pale kusherekea hakufaa kufanya hivyo. Manake pia naye alitilia mkazo kwamba kilichotendeka kilikuwa halisi, lakini pia kwenda mbele kutolea mfano kwamba baadhi ya wachezaji wakubwa zaidi kutoka kama klabu ya Benfica kina Fabio kwamba walikuwa wa Afrika na wamepitia vitu kama hivi. Hii inaonyesha kwamba yani shirikisho la hasa soka kule UEFA na hata wachezaji wenyewe, makocha wamekubali kwamba hivi visa ni vya kawaida, vinatendeka na hakuna namna tunaweza pambana navyo.
Cedric Musumba, I know you've been waiting to comment on this. Give us your thoughts. And remember, it's an Argentina-Brazil rivalry.
I know, and I was actually to come in from that particular angle. It's not a rivalry that is happening in UEFA. These guys actually carry all their beef from all the we call Copa America, all the way to Europe, and even at World Cup at some extent. And it's a difference that will never end. And it's the rival of even winning trophies at some point. You see, even this particular match, Otamendi at some point had to show Vinicius Jr. how many cups he has actually in his tattoo on the body.
Plus the World Cup.
That's something actually that has got an extension that is beyond UEFA. And if you try to delve deep into it, you realize that like it might have, to me, it's a friendly banter that even spices up the game. We are blowing all the temperaments out of the proportion, because when these two happens to meet, the Brazil-Argentina, those are the kind of the banter that will happen to meet. Okay, words might come out. Words like come out in terms of maybe in terms of emotions, like Real Madrid. Vinicius had to celebrate like that because they were just coming from being beaten by Benfica. And remember how they were beaten.
Yes.
It was actually a kind of a horrific kind of essence, even to me as a fan. Benfica is not a team to beat a star-studded team of Real Madrid. So when Vinicius happened to score and he scores one of a magnificent goal, celebration like that, we have seen it happening in the world over. Roger Milla in 1990, when he scored a goal, he did the same style of dancing. And actually, it was at a World Cup stage. We did not see such kind of emotion, pelting all kinds of arsenals to him, water balls and everything. No coach actually came out to castigate it and everything. This emotion might not be all along about UEFA as people think. This, as just you put it, and that's what I've been reasoning, is a Brazil-Argentinian kind of differentiation that comes up in a game of soccer, and it has lived for so long in anytime these two kind of players meet.
But the question is, Cedric, now you mean that Vinicius, whenever he's subjected to that, is it always involving Brazilian and Argentina players?
It's always just most of the times
Vinicius.
No,
it is always him.
You see, Vinicius also.
The question is why
always Vinicius?
Vinicius also, you know, Vinicius is also trying to earmark some spaces of how actually he can redefine his glory. Because each and every star in a game of soccer, may it be Ronaldinho, we have the Ronaldo, the late Romario, not late Romario, Pele. We have had Pele, the another Argentine, the late Argentine called who? Maradona. They had all their slogans on how people could associate their star kind of nature with him. So Vinicius is just creating that controversial that can really remember. And you remember, controversial sometimes sells. So the celebration that he's trying to make, and you will realize, whenever Real Madrid is really finding it hard to score, not necessarily even in UEFA, even at La Liga back at home, Vinicius will try to stir the environment with certain things that will actually cultivate some sort of controversial. So we have seen it when they are playing Barcelona. We have seen it when they are playing Atletico Madrid. How? This is something that you need to associate it with a player, a certain character of a player. And once you accept it that way, it will not actually bother you whenever he's in the field of play.
Hey, Franklin Kipruto. Hello, Franklin? Franklin Kipruto. Kwema?
Kwema kabisa.
North London Derby, Tottenham Hotspur wako na kocha mpya against Arsenal.
I gave it to Spurs.
Ngapi?
3-1.
Kwa nini?
Watapoteza hao.
Watapoteza. Robi?
Frank amesema
ni Spurs.
Spurs to win.
3-1.
Mbona umefurahia?
Kariuki. 30 seconds. Nataka 30 seconds usome ujumbe. 30 seconds usome ujumbe because we're asking Tottenham Hotspurs host Arsenal in the North London Derby this weekend. Give us your predictions, Kariuki. Haraka.
Luis from Kiambu anasema Arsenal still have the capacity to produce good results. And then 1-2 for the Gunners. Huyo ni Mureithi Soro in Tarakanidhi. Alafu Arsenal will win the match by 3-1. Alafu acha nisome nyingine. I'm Jose Macho from Dando. Dando, I think in Dandora. Unajua hivyo sedu. Agana kuteleza zio kuanguka. This Sunday Arsenal will prove to the whole world wako kwa race bado. Arsenal kichwa. High football sleep crew. Before I say hivi, ndio ligi hutoka ki deja vu. As a staunch Arsenal fan or good Christian, I have one final season for Arteta, hoping he ever listens. Thomas Lake Queens in the name of ametaja wachezaji
Umegopa kwa taja
hapa nasema Sunday kwa hiyo game niambie Mkangai apunguze namna hii Raya.
Sasa ukiongelea namna hii we take a short break. When we come back we continue that conversation on the North London Derby that will be taking place on Sunday, as well as what to expect when Manchester City host Newcastle tomorrow in the English Premier League. That will be in a bit.
Week's results. Bandari, FC Leopards after being flown to down to the coast, they were unable to score to the barren draw against their host Bandari. Posta Rangers against Shabana. Shabana won 1-0. Ulinzi Stars settled to a 1-1 draw against Police. Aston Villa lost at home against Newcastle United. Liverpool thumped Brighton 3-0. Como lost to Fiorentina 2-1. Inter won 3-2 in that against Juventus in a 5-goal thriller. Napoli drew 2-2 against AS Roma. Bayer Leverkusen 2 against St. Pauli. RB Leipzig 2-2 against Wolfsburg. So this is how I performed.
Hii ndio ilikuwa result yako.
Menibia lakini.
Hii ndio ilikuwa result yako. Kariuki alipata 9. Ni vile kulikuwa na confusion.
Namna hii.
Kariuki alipata.
Kariuki 9.
Yeah.
Ama wewe pia ulienda coast.
Interestingly anacheka kuhusu Bandari na Bandari ni upande ya Mombasa si Kwale.
No, but nimecheka nimecheka vipi yani? Bandari si Mombasa, Bandari ni coast.
Ndio alipata 8. I was
mimi
at least up ama ni
mimi at least na perform.
I was unwell your man.
Ndio watu wa power.
So well, tuangalie sleeper this week. So of course Shabana against Tusker, Muranga Seal will be taking on Coastal State Bandari, Police APS Bomet ni derby ya Police. Gor Mahia against Bankers KCB, Man City against Newcastle United at the Etihad, Tottenham Hotspur against Arsenal, the North London Derby. Everton will be hosting Manchester United. Then in Syria, Atalanta versus Napoli. In the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich at home against Frankfurt, and of course RB Leipzig against Borussia Dortmund. This is my slip. This is slip ya power. Shabana Tusker, Shabana watakuwa nyumbani, lazima washinde. Muranga Seal against Bandari. Sikupikia upato timu yangu nyumbani. Anyway, 1x. Police APS Bomet, Police Gor Mahia KCB, Gor Mahia. Man City Newcastle 1x. Either prime one on Man City. The worst that can happen is a draw. Tottenham Hotspur against Arsenal over 1.5. Everton against Man United over 1.5. Atalanta versus Napoli, it can go either way. Bayern Munich versus Frankfurt, putting my money on the host Bayern. Of course, RB Leipzig against Dortmund can go either way. Mtu wa Murima.
Alifaa aende kwa number 2, mimi kwa number 1.
Oh, twende kwa number
Shabana Tusker nimesema either side. Muranga Bandari, we will show AFC how to deal with Bandari. Police, APS Bomet, either police or a draw. Gor Mahia, KCB either side. Manchester City, Newcastle. Manchester City will be reducing the points. Tottenham facing Arsenal. Hapo nikasema watafunga mabao. Everton, Manchester United, either Manchester United or a draw. In fact, draws. Atalanta, Napoli.
Draw.
A draw ama Napoli. Bayern, Frankfurt, and nikasema Bayern 1-1. RB Leipzig kama Borussia Dortmund. Hapo nitakuwa hapo sasa ni kama 10. Nitakuwa nimemaliza kazi.
Tuangalie our best dancer.
Unajua I was just thinking nimeona hizo predictions zenu mbili. Kuna ile nini nasema naishi wa power. Ndio hizo zenu. Sasa wacha tuangalie ya power.
Lakini mimi niliongoza, mimi ndio
Shabana Tusker, Shabana or draw, Muranga Bandari, Muranga or draw, Police APS, Police to win or draw. Gor vs KCB, Gor, Manchester City, Newcastle over 1.5, Tottenham vs Arsenal over 1.5, Everton vs Manchester United, United to draw or win, Atalanta Napoli, Napoli to win or draw, Bayern Frankfurt, Bayern to win or draw, Leipzig Dortmund over 1.5. Now, let's get into the big games of the weekend. Yes, these are the big games, the games to watch this weekend. Let's begin with Manchester City versus Newcastle. Kaka, tuanze na wewe. Umesema hujaongea leo. Tuanze na wewe.
Man City, I think this is a very serious game, and it is not going to be an easy game as people may think, because Arsenal ili draw kwamba City will win this game easily. Remember Newcastle United, they are from winning the Champions League playoff with a 3-0 win. So they will be facing Man City ambayo imewatoa kwa Carabao, and then the same team has been drawn with Newcastle for the FA Cup. So they will be seeking also to look for nafasi ya kuingia at least in the European football, because as we can see, they are going to be in the round of 16, and hawaoni kama watakuwa top 4. So they'll be seeking to go either to Conference League or the Europa League. So this is not going to be a very easy. It's far-fetched. So most likely this game inaweza toka draw. Inaweza toka draw easily, because City pia their defense has not been very good. It is leaking goals. Yes, they are winning, but again wanafungwa haraka sana. So it's not going to be an easy game as many people may think about it.
Cedric Musumba, as much as most people think it's going to be, including Kariuki, that it's going to be an easy win for City, they are also under pressure. They have to perform. They have to get a win so that they can cut that gap.
If there is any other trophy that the City normally focus on with a lot of mental strength than any other, it has been always EPL. When it comes to EPL, more so in the prime spaces that they have occupied, they play with a purpose, given to the mere fact of the kind of matches that are ahead of them. And if necessarily try to follow a Kariuki's permutation, I beg to disagree with him to the mere fact that City has been dropping points when their players, majority of their players were on injury. Currently, they are coming from injury and they are coming back. That's why you can see City grinding points moving forward. So if they continue playing with that mentality that we have had, like Rodri's trying to find their spaces, who are coming from danger and are now giving them the result they needed, they will continue with the winning mentality. And in a game of football, there are chemistry that really works for player. When they win, that mentality grows into their nerves. And they will attack each game knowing that they are attacking like winners. They have not experienced actual loss for a very... I think a big streak of matches compared to how they used to draw points. Currently, they're in a winning spree. And moving forward, meeting Newcastle, they might have won with 6 goals, yes, but against which team? They are coming back to EPL. We are EPL of the recent years, they are on a record of teams that are really fighting relegation or middle of the table, posting good results in UEFA. We have seen Nottingham posting good results in Europa. So coming back to EPL is a different ballgame altogether. And they are meeting City, playing them at home, which, and again, seeing anything none other than trophy ahead of them.
Rogers Eshtemi, The fixtures between these two teams are normally very interesting. Remember the first leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Pep complained. They won, yes, but Pep really complained about playing Newcastle. He said that most of the time, most of the decisions go Newcastle's way.
But history speaks totally different things. Looking at Manchester City home record against Newcastle. Newcastle have never won at Etihad for the longest period possible. I think it could be maybe the previous decade or so. But since 2018, Manchester City have always been beating Newcastle at Etihad. So, yeah, of course, Manchester City look favorite, and based on the fact that indeed it's not all about those players coming back from injuries, but it is for the fact that Pep Guardiola knew what he wanted in the January transfer window, and he went for the players whom he felt that they can take Manchester to the next level.
Totally made a change.
And that is exactly how Pep has done the job. It's not about the players coming from the injuries, because looking at those players in the initial stages of the league, they're also struggling. And for Semenyo and then Guehi coming in, they've tried to stabilize the ship. And those two players, they're the players that are likely to give Arsenal a headache. Because if by chance Guehi will have gone to Liverpool, Manchester will be leaking goals up to now. And then Semenyo stayed to his club, then it will be difficult for Manchester to get another player to try to frustrate the opposition. So also looking at the matches remaining between Manchester City and Arsenal, you find that 7 of the teams that Manchester City will face, Arsenal are also going to face the same teams. Unfortunately for Arsenal, they involve a lot of London derbies, like 3 or 4 London derbies. That is West Ham, Chelsea, Crystal Palace. Those are London derbies, and it's always not easy for Arsenal to win the London derby. So it is advantage Manchester City, but it's not yet celebration time until the fat lady sings.
Davis Mberia tuingie London derby, North London derby. Tottenham Hotspurs at home under a new manager taking on their rivals, the Gunners.
Tottenham Hotspur chini ya kocha Tudo, nahisi kwamba Spurs sijui wanatumia mfumo upi hasa kuwatafuta makocha wao, manake ukiangalia msururu wake alipokuwa Juventus amepiga mechi 7 zake za mwisho hajashinda mechi, na mechi zake 4 za mwisho hakufunga bao lolote. Sijui wanatumia mbinu gani, na hivi majuzi nikamsikiza kocha Postecoglou akisema kwamba ukiingia pale Tottenham wanakuambia today is to do.
No, today is to dream.
Today is to dream.
Yes,
kwamba wanajidai wao ni baadhi ya vilabu vikubwa ila ni baadhi ya vilabu pale chini. Lakini nizungumzie hii mechi. Tottenham wataingia katika mechi hii wakiwa na mshawasho mkubwa kwamba wamepata kocha mgeni. Kwa hivyo nahisi kwamba Tudo atataka kuonyesha pia wale mashabiki ambao watafika uwanjani kwamba nimekuja na muundo mwingine, lakini pia atakuwa anapata pigo, maana wengi wa wachezaji wapo ama wanauguza majeraha. Kwa hivyo nahisi kwamba Arsenal atakuwa anatumia nafasi hiyo angalau kujipatia ushindi. Lakini Arsenal anaingia katika mechi pia akiwa na shinikizo kubwa zaidi la kuhakikisha kwamba anazidisha pengo kati yake na Manchester City. Pengo hilo liendelee, manake City iwapo atashinda, pengo linasalia alama 2, na iwapo Arsenal atashinda, pengo linasalia jinsi lilivyo sasa hivi. Nahisi kwamba pia Arsenal atajaribu kurekebisha kule ambako alizidiwa zaidi katika mechi yao dhidi ya Wolves, na hiyo ilitokana na safu yao ya nyuma kuonekana kuyumba zaidi, Gabriel Timber. Na iwapo Arsenal atafaulu hata kupata draw katika mechi hii, alama 1, ana nafasi kubwa sana ya kusepa na taji. Kwa hivyo nampa pale nafasi ya kushinda mechi.
Cedric, Igor Tudo at Tottenham. Are we likely to see, we normally see that new manager bounce? We've seen it with Manchester United, see where they are at the moment. Are we likely to, we saw it with Pereira yesterday at Nottingham Forest. Are we likely to see that with Tottenham against Arsenal?
History has it that actually players will always scramble to impress any given manager, leave alone even in a game of soccer, even at where the spaces that we occupy in our job environment. If you get a new manager, you will scramble to impress because you are fighting for that particular, so demarcate your space so that the manager can mark you as the best. This is what happens with even football in the club. So as the manager is here, everyone is actually fighting for their own fate. And at that particular time, they want to impress. Even if you are promoted from, we might be saying that, oh, those the cog that we have associated ourselves with are now on injury. But we have seen clubs promoting players from even under 20, and they come to perform. The current Arsenal that we are not really having that courage to talk about. When the likes of Lewis Kelly were being promoted, we had all the narratives. They have come from nowhere. You saw how they played. And the depth that they used to talk about, the depth was actually being supported by that particular time, the promotion from academy. I don't know all of a sudden why it has been evaporated from. I think that strength and the depth might have actually ceased to exist at that particular time. But and again, I still believe that Tottenham playing home, given the boos that the jeers that they have been getting from their fan, they want actually to suppress those jeers by at least either beating Arsenal or maybe picking a draw, so that the fans, they can start again and having hope, given to the near fact that they have roped in a new coach. So they will be out to occupy their spaces and address the kind of the result that they have been posting under their former coach. And that mere factor that they are playing at home and they will not and again want to disappoint their fan, that's only a push that will make them try to play hard against Arsenal.
Rogers Shtemi, Bukayo Saka signed a new contract just days before this tie. I mean, is he going to carry that pressure on Sunday of delivering for the Gunners?
I think at the moment as we speak, Saka is Arsenal and Arsenal is Saka, because he has gone through the ranks from the young boy coming to Arsenal, being promoted from the youth team, and then suddenly playing for the senior team. And right now he's the assistant captain in the club. I think he has a lot of pressure. He has to deliver. And he was one of the most disappointed people when they dropped points against Wolves, because he scored the opener and then he was substituted. I don't know if he'll be ready for the North London derby, because he limped off from that game. And if by chance maybe he makes it to the squad, I think he has to prove his point that indeed he is one of the most long-lasting players in the club, and this is maybe the best chance for them to end their long title drought. They have to do the job, because a derby is a derby. It doesn't matter if you are in a good form or bad form. Maybe it is a moment for them to come and prove critics wrong and show that indeed they are going to push this title up to the wire. But as Spurs they are struggling to avoid relegation. And unfortunately, the last 4 matches head-to-head, Arsenal has won. But now, for Spurs, they have again frustrated Arsenal. They have done so there in the recent past. The last 4 seasons, they have been doing the same, trying to get points from Arsenal. But when it comes to Manchester City, they allow them to get the win. So Saka has to pull around his teammates and bring that character, the mental strength they deserve, because they have the squad, yes. We understand they're featuring in a lot of tournaments, they're chasing a quadruple, but unfortunately, if they don't bring their focus into Sunday's match, then it's going to tumble. It's the Spurs match that's going to be a deciding factor for Arsenal season.
Kariuki, unasemaje?
Hassan Juma.
Hassan anaongea kwanza.
Nasoma message.
Kweli.
Hassan Juma is just obsessed with Arsenal. Anasema Liverpool won against Arsenal 1-0. Hassan talked. Arsenal still managed to overtake them. Aston Villa beat Arsenal 2-1. Hassan talked. It is still 5 points. Hassan, you are still talking. Arsenal will win 3-1. And Man City will draw 1-1 with the City. Clement Mulusa from Liten Kericho.
Good stuff. Tampigia simu. Sikuna namba hapo.
Uzungumze naye.
Uzungumze naye.
Mwambie kwa nini uko obsessed. But I think it's a very interesting game. Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal, nikishikanisha hizo points zote zimesemwa hapa. I think it will be...
Ni kwa sababu I've been to the Emirates, so you understand.
Okay.
Ukishikanisha hizo points zote?
Hizo points zote za Sedo. Lamberia. I think it will not be an easy game. Number one, because of the new coach. As much as Mberia says the coach amekuwa akipigwa kumali alikuwa, he will try to prove a point that he is now in the EPL and that he was the best bet for Tottenham after Thomas Frank was sent away. Again, I think what is lacking pale Arsenal ni mtu kama mtu wa kupea sai kao vijana. I think they get the morale inashuka haraka sana. Kwale kwa mkutano ikianza. Lakini after that kuna kosa ule mtu wa kuwasukuma.
Tia gazi kishatokea.
Wao wanajisai kwa kata wakona. Wanakaa pamoja hivi na
I don't know. I think they need someone who can give them that morale na hiyo sitaki kusema ukichwa ngumu lakini wacha niseme ukichwa ngumu fulani that we have to kill this game.
They just need to be ruthless. That is the fact.
Yeah,
when you lead the game, just go and kill it.
Yeah, kill the game. I think if you bully the Arsenal players, wanaanza ku lose concentration kidogo, and I think that's where
because you know when you've won the league there is that experience. Hassan,
Arsenal will win, but we need to use Mourinho tactics of parking the bus and go for 3 points. Beautiful football is irrelevant now. Dr. Philip Zil Chebunet, lecturer, University of Eldoret. Hello, nani ako on nini? Kwa simu?
Kiprop from Kericho.
Habari ya Kericho, Kiprop?
Fine.
Arsenal will be away to Tottenham. Unaonaje game itaendaje?
Arsenal.
Ngapi?
Arsenal ndio itachukua.
Asante sana.
Sema Arsenal.
Na muda broadcast game.
Of course itakuwa live. Sio tutaka.
Itakuwa Radio Maisha.
Radio Maisha itakuwa live. Na Berur pia. Robi? Simu imekatika.
Oh, simu imekatika. Oh, so yes, that is where we wrap up the football sleep tonight. Thank you very much, Davis Beria, Rogers Shtemi, Cedric Musumba, Kaka.
Unapo wrap up kuna message. Haya nisome
message mbili tatu.
Kevin Nakuru anasema Arsenal win 3-1. Alafu kuna Tottenham Hotspur will dust Arsenal. Barasa from Funyula. Hello Charangu from Kitui anasema Arsenal will win. And then kuna moja nilikuwa nimeona akimsalimu Davis Mberia, nimeipata. Kaka Steve kutoka Bungoma, Arsenal Jumapili lazima Spurs watapigwa vibaya sana. Alafu anasema msalimu Davis Mberia, lakini tuko watu sita.
Kuna Barasa from Funyula.
Sawa. Thank you very much. So as we wrap up, let's one more time take a look at what you will be reading in Kenya's bold newspaper tomorrow. That is the Saturday Standard. State House greed, money appetite. State House has burnt through 10.4 billion shillings in just 7 months out of a budgeted 7.7 billion. This is nearly a third more than its full year budget, with months to go, even as the Treasury warns of a deepening revenue hole and escalating debt pressure. As Kenya Revenue Authority tightens its tax noose on small traders and professionals, executive spending is racing ahead of allocation, fueling fresh questions on fiscal discipline and political priorities. That story is on page 8 and 9. Make sure you grab yourself a copy of the Saturday Standard and get to read about State House greed. That is where we wrap up tonight, Football Sleep tonight. I'm Robinson Okenye. And remember, we had Davis Beria, Rogers Shtemi, Cedric Musumba, Daniel Karuki, and Hassan Juma. And we say have a good night. We'll be seeing you again next weekend, next Friday, same time, same place.